order to save someone, struck too hard. He was accused of manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Before he went in, he solemnly told me that although we were two people, we were as one, and he begged me to take care of his parents. I thought he saw me as his fiancée. That's why he entrusted me with such a responsibility. With a heavy heart, I agreed. For 15 years, I dedicated myself completely, raising his parents without complaint, no matter how hard it was. I even sold my blood and a kidney just to pay for his mother's treatment, all because I wanted to fulfill the promise I made him. But I never imagined, from the very beginning, it wasn't manslaughter at all. He had gone to prison in someone else's place. When he was released, he not only came back with 100,000 yuan, but also with a woman and a 10-year-old son. Thanks for taking care of my family all these 15 years, he said. Here's 1,000 yuan. Consider it my gratitude and compensation. From now on, you'll always be like a sister to me. That was when I finally realized I had been deceived from the start. He had only asked me to look after his parents. He never intended to marry me. Yet all those years, I'd poured out my energy, my youth, my health for his family. And now, just 1,000 yuan. How could that ever make up for what I lost? Exhausted, sick from overwork, I was so furious that I coughed up blood and died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back, returned to the very day Jacob Wu begged me to care for his parents. Late autumn, 1987. I curled up in the dilapidated firewood shed of the Wu family, staring at the foam of blood in my palm, glowing an eerie pink under the dim oil lamp. Outside, the laughter and chatter of the Wu family drifted in. That fool Emma, one of them scoffed. She really thinks she's our daughter-in-law. Doesn't even realize she's been taking care of my parents for 15 years in my place. I just told her to look after them, and she happily ran over. Did I ever say I liked her or wanted to marry her? She brought this on herself. My son truly has skill, another voice chimed in. Just one sentence, and that silly Emma volunteered to be our free nanny. For 15 years, Jacob Wu dominated at the factory, and to think old Tom's daughter ended up slaving away for us. In the end, I, David Wu, turned out more blessed than him. Dad, Mom, tell me, the younger one said with a mocking laugh. Isn't Emma exactly the kind of lowly person people talk about? For 15 years I had lived in the Wu household, giving everything I had. I never expected this would be the outcome. A bitter laugh slipped from my lips. My whole life. It was nothing but a cruel joke. Before my eyes blurred, I thought I saw the kind, caring faces of his parents and sister-in-law. I reached out for them, but the next moment my throat filled with a coppery sweetness and blood gushed out. As my eyes closed, I swore to myself, if there's a next life, I will never have anything to do with the Wu family again. 1976. Emma, my trial is about to begin. Even though it's manslaughter, I did kill someone. The lawyer says I may have to serve 15 years. We grew up together, and you're the one I've trusted most since childhood. Please, take care of my parents for me. A man's voice pulled me out of my memories. I lifted my head and saw Jacob Wu in prison clothes sitting across from me. My eyes widened in shock. I was dead. So why did the calendar on the wall say July 8, 1976? I had been reborn. Reborn to the very day Jacob Wu asked me to look after his parents. In my past life, I had always liked my neighbor. I felt such sympathy for his situation that when he entrusted his parents to me, I believed it was because he trusted me, because he saw me as family. I not only agreed, I even waited for him faithfully without expecting anything in return, dreaming that when he got out we'd marry and live happily together. But in the end, he already had a girlfriend, and it was none other than my high school classmate, Sarah Wang. Sarah Wang was already pregnant with his child. The compensation money he received for going to prison in someone else's place, all of it went straight into Sarah's pocket. She used that money to start a business, riding the wave of the reform era, and soon became the richest woman in her village. In my previous life, when Jacob Wu's mother was gravely ill, I once went to Sarah's house to borrow money. But she didn't say a single word about her relationship with Jacob. She just stood there, watching as I begged from house to house for money to buy medicine for Mrs. Grace Wu, Jacob's mother. I kowtowed until my forehead bled. Later, when I confronted Sarah asking why, since she had received Jacob's compensation money, she hadn't stepped up when his mother was sick. Why, as the true daughter-in-law of the Wu family, she had left his parents for me to care for. She only said that because Jacob had signed a confidentiality agreement about going to prison in someone else's place, she couldn't reveal the truth. She claimed she was protecting Jacob. As for Mr. and Mrs. Wu, they had long known about Jacob's relationship with Sarah. They also knew Sarah had given him a son. The only reason they hadn't told me was because they knew how much I liked Jacob. They were afraid that if I found out, I would be too shocked. According to them, all of it had been for my own good. Looking at that picture of a happy family of 5 before me, and the hypocritical faces of everyone involved, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Ha ha! All for my own good? Jacob Wu, Sarah Wang, Grace Wu, David Wu, did the 4 of you really think I was some fool to be toyed with? It was only then that I realized the entire Wu family had been in on it from the beginning, treating me like an easy mark, a gullible fool. All that talk about protecting me from shock, it was nothing but a lie. What they really wanted was to trick me into being their beast of burden. Fortunately, heaven had given me another chance to live this life again. Jacob Wu, sitting across from me, noticed my silence. He gripped my hand tightly, his eyes brimming with hope. I looked at the face that had once captivated me so much, but now I coldly pulled my hand back. Jacob, I said evenly, this really isn't right. Yes, we grew up together and our families are close, but I'm still an unmarried girl. Sooner or later, I'll have to get married. I can't promise to take care of your parents. It would cause problems for my future husband's family. My words caught him off guard. He frowned, his expression twisting strangely. You want to get married? But not you. I twisted the end of my braid in my hands, pretending to be naive as I tilted my head. But not me, what? Jacob seemed embarrassed, as if the words were hard to say. Don't you feel anything about me? The moment I realized what he meant, my face flushed hot with shame. Jacob, why would you even bring that up? Doesn't everyone know you and Sarah Wang, the girl from your village, have been seeing each other? Just the other day I saw her at the clinic, her belly already huge with your child. She's carrying your baby, isn't she? The way her stomach sticks out, it must be a boy. You'll be a father soon enough. My words left Jacob stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief. What are you saying? Sarah is pregnant? Why hasn't she told me? As soon as he said that, he realized he'd slipped. He quickly covered his mouth, his eyes darting nervously toward me. Watching him panic, I understood everything. He had deliberately hidden the truth about already having a woman, just so he could trick me into becoming his fool. I forced a calm smile. It's fine, Jacob. I admit, in the past I had some feelings for you. But I, Emma, am not the kind of girl who doesn't know her place. Since you already have someone, I won't get in the way. Don't worry, I'll tell Sarah about your request. From now on, your parents can count on her. It's late, I should go. I'll visit you another time. Ignoring the anxious look on Jacob's face, I stood and walked straight out. As I stepped outside the detention center, the blazing sunlight beat down on me, filling me with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. I thought back to my previous life, when I had foolishly sacrificed everything for that bastard, Jacob Wu. For 15 years I had worked myself like a beast of burden. I wasn't even 30 yet, but I looked like I was in my 40s or 50s. Because I had sold my kidney to pay for Grace Wu's treatment, my body was crippled. I couldn't manage heavy work or even light chores anymore. His mother despised me for being useless and drove me out to live in the firewood shed. The more I thought about it, the more wronged and bitter I felt. Just imagining how I had made my own parents grieve over me because of a man like Jacob Wu filled me with unbearable shame. Right then, I decided to buy a bus ticket and go home. My parents were both factory workers, and we lived together in the housing block provided by their work unit. On the way home, ignoring the whispers and gossip of the neighbors, I choked up and called out, "Mom, Dad, I'm back!" The moment I stepped through the door, my father's army-issue shoe came flying at me, grazing past my ear. "You worthless brat! You still have the nerve to come back? Weren't you supposed to rot away at the Wu house? You didn't need your mother and me anymore, is that it?" My father, Daniel Song, was a technician at the steel plant. He was used to manual labor, his temper was hot, and his voice was loud. But ever since I was little, he had loved me the most, and never treated me unfairly. The reason he was so furious this time was because I had ignored my family's objections, given up the factory job they had pulled strings to get me at the textile mill, and insisted on moving back to the Wu household to care for Jacob's parents. Knowing my father was angry for my sake, I quickly picked up his shoe from the floor, put on a pitiful face, and clung to his arm. "Dad, don't be mad. I only went because Jacob was put in prison, and I was afraid his parents would be devastated. I just wanted to help them for a few days. Now that I've done that, I came straight home." My father, Daniel, took a hard drag on his hand-rolled cigarette, his face still cold. "Don't think I don't know. You came back to ask for more money and ration coupons, didn't you? Just a few days ago, didn't I already give you a bunch of grain coupons and 20 yuan? How could you go through it so fast?" He only earned 40 yuan a month at the steel plant. 20 yuan was half his wages. He was angry that I had taken the family's money and coupons to give to the Wu household. But still, when I begged, he had quietly handed them over. At that moment, my mother, Linda Lee, walked in carrying a basket of eggs. Seeing me looking so dejected, she sighed. "That's right, sweetheart. I know you like that Jacob boy, but he's a murderer now. He's in prison, and no one knows when he'll ever get out. You're only 18, in the prime of your youth. How can you waste it like this?" In my past life, whenever my parents called Jacob a murderer, I would lose my temper and argue that he was a hero who acted righteously and killed by accident. But now I knew. They had been the ones with foresight. They were the ones who truly cared about me. So I nodded. "Mom, I just saw Jacob. He said he might get 15 years. Our families may have grown up side by side, but there's a saying, you can save someone who's starving, but you can't save someone who's lazy. I can't possibly care for his parents for 15 years while he's gone. That's why I came back." No sooner had the words left my mouth than my sister-in-law's sharp voice rang out. "Emma Song, you useless girl. Are you still thinking of raising Jacob Wu's parents for him while he rots in prison? You're a girl. Don't you care about your reputation? What are you to the Wu family anyway? Did Jacob Wu save your life in a past life or something?" My sister-in-law, Nancy Tan, was an obstetrician at the county hospital. She was beautiful, fashionable, and a college graduate. In this era, she was the very definition of a golden girl, a perfect match for my older brother who was a company commander in the army. Originally, my brother had arranged for her to take a post at the military hospital, but she refused, choosing instead to stay close by to care for my parents and me. The two of them were more distant than close, only meeting on holidays or New Year's. Even though they had been married for nearly 2 years, they still hadn't had a child. In my previous life, because of my own inferiority complex, I always thought my sister-in-law, Nancy Tan, looked down on me. With her good job and higher education, she seemed to exclude me and push me aside at every turn. I never expected that, when I collapsed in the fields from an infection after illegally selling my kidney, it would be Nancy who set aside all past grudges to save me. Not only that, she even took out the money she and my brother had been saving for years to buy a house and gave it to me for hospital fees. Later, when the railroad changed its route, and their chosen property skyrocketed in value by tens of times, they missed their chance to get rich because of me. Thinking of this, I no longer cared about Nancy's disdainful expression. I rushed into her arms and cried, "Sister-in-law, you're right to scold me. I've disrespected myself and brought shame to the Song family. I swear from now on I'll never go to the Wu household to care for their parents again, and I'll never bring them our money or goods. If I break my word, may I die without a grave." Hearing this, Nancy's face shifted slightly, though she quickly hardened again. "Emma, don't try your tricks on me. You like Jacob Wu so much, I don't believe you've suddenly changed overnight. Isn't this just your delaying tactic? Soften me and your parents first, then later rope us into helping the Wu family again?" My parents seemed to think her words made sense. They looked at me with hesitation, as if they wanted to speak, but held back. I knew why. In the past, I had ignored all their advice and objections, constantly taking money and supplies from home to give to the Wu family. They had long since lost faith in me. Not wanting to disappoint them anymore, I quickly said, "Sister-in-law, Mom, Dad, everything I said is true. Jacob told me himself he only sees me as a younger sister. He never intended to be with me. He already has someone, Sarah Wang, the daughter of the Wang family in our village. She was even my classmate in high school. Since he already has a girlfriend, why would I keep chasing after him?" My parents were stunned. "What? That fool Jacob already has someone. How do you know? Don't you dare slander him without proof." In my past life, I had been so busy caring for the Wu elders, rising early, working late, exhausting myself, that I had no time to notice anything else. It wasn't until Jacob came back with Sarah, openly bringing her into his home, that I finally realized their relationship had never been a secret. Many villagers had known all along. The Wu and Wang families had already acknowledged each other. I was the only one kept in the dark. So now I stammered, pretending to be unsure. "I happened to see them strolling in town together. Lots of people in the village know. I'm not making it up." My father slammed his pipe on the table, furious. "If he already has a girlfriend, then why doesn't she take care of his parents? Why should my daughter be the one to do it?" I shrank back, my eyes brimming with tears. Maybe because she's pregnant. He probably doesn't want her doing heavy work." The moment my mother heard this, her face flushed red with anger. "That brat Jacob Wu. Does he even count as human? He spares his pregnant girlfriend from labor, but tricks my daughter, Linda Lee's daughter, into becoming a servant for his family?" She grabbed my hand. "Come on. We're going to the Ocean Village to the Wu household to settle this. All this time you've been caring for his parents. You've taken plenty of things from our home to give them. Every bit of it came from our hard-earned savings. We'll make them pay it all back." Of course, I had this thought too. But in the past, I had been blind, coaxed by the Wu elders' sweet words, spinning around like a top, obeying everything they said. I couldn't be too eager now, so I just said softly, "Dad, do you really think we can get the money and goods back?" Even though I didn't know about Jacob and Sarah back then. Sarah was the one Jacob was in love with. That's why she became pregnant and went into the Wu household. But no matter what, in the end, it had all been my choice. My father exploded. "Choice? What choice? You were clearly tricked and didn't even realize it. Don't you remember when Jacob's father got into trouble, was fired from the factory, and sent back to the village? You came to us to borrow 100 yuan so they could get back on their feet. I figured you liked that Jacob kid, thought one day you'd all be family, so I didn't ask for it back. But now he's the one who wronged you first. Why should we keep sparing him? Your sister-in-law is right. Make the Wu family pay us back." Nancy jumped in eagerly. "That's right. Let's make them return the money and everything else too. Everyone, hold on. I'll call Emma's brother right now and tell him to take a few days off. They dare take advantage of the Song family? We'll show them." My brother's unit wasn't far from the county where we lived. After Nancy made the call, just a few hours later, a military vehicle pulled up at the gate of our housing block. I hurried out, excited. "Brother, you're back." But the person who stepped down wasn't my brother, it was a stranger. He looked to be in his 20s, tall and broad-shouldered, with thick brows and bright eyes. His military uniform only made him look more upright and handsome. He gave me a once-over, then grinned, showing gleaming white teeth. "Comrade, you must be Emma Song? I'm a comrade of your brother, Vincent Song. My name is Daniel Shen. Your brother was assigned to a confidential mission by his superiors. When he heard your family was in trouble, and since I happened to be working in the county, he asked me to stop by and see if you needed any help." I froze. If I remembered correctly, this man was the grandson of one of my brother's old commanding officers, a man with a bright future ahead of him. I had been worried about our whole family going to the village to confront the wuss, but with Daniel Shen backing us, our chances of success had just skyrocketed. Even if nothing else happened, just that massive military jeep parked at the entrance of a poor village like Ocean Village would be enough to cause a stir. Thrilled, I immediately grabbed his hand. "Comrade Daniel Shen, hello. I'm Emma Song, Vincent's younger sister. Since you're my brother's comrade, I'll call you Brother Daniel." Daniel's face turned a little red, but he nodded. With his help, my whole family went to Ocean Village. The moment the jeep rolled to the edge of the village, it drew a crowd. Look, that's a car. Looks like a military vehicle, isn't it? Could it be county leaders coming to inspect? No way, we didn't hear anything. Hey, check who's getting out. Wait, that's Emma Song from David Wu's village, isn't it? As soon as the jeep stopped and I stepped down, a woman from the crowd rushed over and grabbed me. Emma, it's you. Did your brother, the company commander, come back too? Did he bring things from your parents' house as dowry gifts for your future in-laws? That Jacob Wu sure is lucky, having a fiancé like you. Must be the blessings of his ancestors. Then she glanced at Daniel standing beside me, saw my whole family coming, and exclaimed, "Ah, so you're all here together. Is this about arranging the wedding?" Hearing that, my face darkened. Don't talk nonsense. I have nothing to do with Jacob Wu. The woman gawked. But he was just arrested, and you moved into the Wu household right after. Aren't you supposed to be his future wife? Then what have you been doing? For months, you've been taking care of David Wu and Grace Wu like their own daughter-in-law, and you expect us to believe you and Jacob aren't together? Her words weren't wrong. In my previous life, I had thought the same way, but it wasn't until I vomited blood and died that I realized I had only ever been fooling myself with wishful thinking. At that moment, someone in the crowd muttered, "That's right. Too bad Jacob Wu only ever liked Sarah Wang. Emma Song was just a fool, giving herself away for nothing. I've seen Jacob and Sarah together more than once," they said. Jacob had even taken that girl into the cornfields, and then to the department store to buy things for her. Someone quickly tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Keep your voice down. David and Grace Wu already warned us. Don't let Emma Song find out." Hearing that, my blood boiled. This ocean village wasn't just home to the despicable Wu family. Turns out the rest of the villagers weren't much better either. I suddenly laughed out loud, my voice sharp. Why did I treat the Wu family so well? Obviously because I'm both beautiful and kind. I'm a good person, that's why. Don't you remember when Uncle Wu still worked at the steel factory and lived next door to us? Now that their family is in trouble, I lent a hand. What's wrong with that? Daniel Shen stepped in to support me. Comrade Emma is right, helping others brings joy. How come, in your mouths, it turns into her being some kind of fool, some discarded thing? I turned to him in astonishment. On the way here, he had already learned all the details, yet he still backed me up without hesitation. I always thought soldiers were all rigid and serious like my brother, but when Daniel gave me a quick wink, my heart skipped a beat. Flustered, I lowered my head, feeling the heat creep into my cheeks. Jacob Wu might have been handsome too, but Daniel carried himself with a completely different air. How to put it? It was that natural dignity, that nobility radiating straight from his bones. My parents, already fuming from hearing the villagers gossip about me, urged me on. "Daughter, enough talking with them. Let's go straight to David Wu's house." I nodded, summoned every ounce of courage, and led my family toward the Wu household. Grace Wu was sitting in the yard, basking in the sun while munching on sunflower seeds, spitting the shells all over the dirt. The moment she saw me, she quickly shoved the bag of seeds under her cushion, as if afraid I might steal them from her. Then she plastered on a bright smile, hurried forward, and grabbed my hand. "Oh, you're back, child. Your uncle and I were just talking about you. Why were you gone so long visiting Jacob and haven't returned? We were wondering if you'd gone back to your parents' house for good. You're not planning to stay there, are you?" As she spoke, she glanced nervously behind me, clearly checking if I had brought anything with me. But instead of gifts, she found my father. The instant my father saw Grace Wu, he unleashed a torrent of curses. "And you dare call yourself his parent?" His voice boomed like a bell, shaking the ground beneath their house. Grace Wu clutched her chest in fright. "Daniel Song, what are you doing here?" Then she turned to scold me. "Emma, child, why didn't you tell us your parents were coming today? We could have prepared something." My father snorted coldly. "Prepared what? We're here to take back everything my daughter gave your family. She's still young and naive, but you two conned her. As her father, I can't allow this any longer. And another thing. The IOU. Back when David Wu got fired from the factory, he borrowed 100 yuan from me. To this day, he hasn't repaid a cent. You'll pay it all back today." I quickly added, "That's right, Auntie. I already know everything about Jacob and Sarah Wang. The two of them are the real couple, and Sarah is carrying the Wu family's grandson. I won't get involved anymore. All the grain, flour, and rice I gave you these past months, the money for vegetables, meat, and cloth for clothes, I've recorded every single bit. Please return it all. With that, I pulled out my little ledger and held it in front of Grace Wu. Her expression instantly shifted. Gone was the fake kindness. Instead, she put her hands on her hips and snapped. Emma Song, you were the one who liked my son and wanted to be our daughter-in-law. You came here on your own, and those things, you gave them willingly, and now you dare demand them back. The moment my mother heard Grace Wu's shameless words, once food's already in the mouth, how can you ask for it back? She rushed forward and slapped her hard across the face. Grace Wu, what are you? Some kind of beast that only knows how to take in and never give out? You saw my daughter was still young and naive, so you conspired with your murderer son to deceive her. Heartless woman, don't you fear that everything you've eaten from us will rot your guts? Grace Wu's cheeks swelled immediately. She clutched her face, staring at my mother in disbelief. Linda Lee, you dare hit me? Then she lunged forward, trying to strike my mother back. I seized the chance to grab her wrist and tripped her, sending her staggering to the ground. She landed with a thud, slapping her thighs and wailing miserably. She hit me. The future daughter-in-law just hit her mother-in-law. Emma Song, how dare you treat me like this? Do you still want to marry my son? David Wu came rushing out from the house. What's going on here? Emma, do you have no respect for the law? She's your future mother-in-law. I quickly pulled my mother back, my eyes stinging with tears. Uncle David, don't say such things. I have no relationship with Jacob at all. And Auntie, please don't hit my mother. She only did this because she loves me and wants what's best for me. But David Wu sneered. Who doesn't know you've been aiming to marry my son, and now you claim you have nothing to do with him? Inside, I laughed coldly at the family's shamelessness. Outwardly, I let my tears spill down my face. Uncle David, if you're going to talk, at least keep your conscience. I admit that at first I did have feelings for Jacob, but did either of you ever tell me he already had a girlfriend? Why did your whole family see that my family was well off and then work together to trick me? Jacob clearly has someone he loves. Why didn't you let her care for the two of you? Instead, you dumped everything on me. Isn't that just taking advantage of my innocence and my feelings? I cried so hard that even my parents' hearts ached for me. My mother suddenly charged forward and slapped David Wu across the face. That's the fine son you raised. Nancy Tan, my sister-in-law, crossed her arms and gave a cold laugh. Exactly. Jacob chose to go to prison and even dragged my sister-in-law down with him. Today, this debt must be settled clearly. News that the Song family was causing trouble spread fast, and soon half the village had gathered to watch. Sarah Wang, whether because she heard rumors that people knew about her secret relationship with Jacob, or for some other reason, showed up looking flustered. When she saw me, her eyes turned red. She rushed forward, clutching my sleeve. Emma, do you misunderstand something? Weren't you the one who liked Jacob? How did it turn into me being with him? Don't you remember back in school? I even tried to bring you two together. Did you forget? The Wang family had never been well off, but now Sarah wore a fashionable dress, plastic high-heeled sandals, and on her wrist, a Shanghai brand women's watch. An item so rare you couldn't buy it even with money if you didn't have ration coupons. I remembered how back in school, her family had been so poor she often went hungry. I used to sneak her food from my house, telling her we had too much so she would accept it. And yet, knowing I liked Jacob, she pretended to help while secretly carrying his child behind my back. The thought made me grit my teeth in fury. But I hadn't come here to trade fake tears with her. I had come to get our money back. If she could cry, I could cry harder. I sobbed so fiercely I could barely get the words out. Sarah, we used to share the same desk. I thought you were my best friend. If you liked Jacob, why didn't you tell me? Don't hide it anymore. He already told me the truth. You're the one he loves. And what's more, the reason he went to prison this time. In truth, Jacob went to prison in someone else's place. The other party gave him 10,000 yuan. He told you the money was with you, Sarah, and told you not to worry. Just give birth to the child and wait for him to come out. Then the three of you could be together as a family. The moment those words left my mouth, Grace Wu froze. What? 10,000? Sarah Wang, did you pocket it all yourself? Didn't you say my son only gave you 1,000? The instant Grace blurted that out, the crowd erupted. 10,000? The Wu family must be loaded, and they still tricked the girl? So Grace knew about Jacob and Sarah all along? Emma really was a fool, being spun around like a top without realizing it. Lucky she found out early, otherwise it'd be too late. Look at them, Sarah and her kid living in comfort on the money, while Emma breaks her back serving Jacob's parents. By the time he's released, the three of them reunite, and Emma's left with nothing. The villager's words cut right into my heart. I collapsed onto the ground, sobbing. Everyone, please judge this for me. Who bullies someone like this? Auntie Wu, Sarah gave you 10,000 yuan. Why didn't you say anything? Instead, you lied to me that Jacob went to jail and your family had nothing to eat, coaxing me with sweet words to bring food and clothes from my home, even borrow money for you. How could you stoop to something so shameless? Aren't you afraid of heaven's wrath? But Grace Wu had no mind to argue with Mimi now. She only cared about the money Sarah had taken. You were the one who liked my son, who wanted to be my daughter-in-law, who came running here to serve us willingly, and so what if my son already has a girlfriend? They aren't married yet. You keep serving his parents faithfully, and when he gets out, maybe he'll take you as a concubine. Her words made my sister-in-law flare with rage. Grace Wu, this is a new society. The marriage law guarantees monogamy. Talk of concubines is nothing but the rotten thinking of feudal times, a way to exploit and oppress women. And you, a woman yourself, dare speak such words? Where is your village secretary? Where is the Women's Federation chair? I want to file a report. The Wu family's conduct is disgraceful. Their ideology is corrupted by capitalist rot, and they're trying to ruin my sister-in-law Emma. This calls for a thorough investigation. That was a university graduate for you. Nancy's words came sharp and precise, striking like thunder. Grace Wu's face went pale with fear. Back when Jacob's father made mistakes and their family was shamed by the factory, she had suffered plenty of scorn. The memory of those days clearly still haunted her. Hearing Nancy's accusations now, she trembled. Don't you dare throw labels on me. Believe it or not, I'll tear your mouth apart, she screeched, lunging to attack Nancy. But my sister-in-law wasn't about to let her. She shoved Grace back instantly. My husband is a soldier, and I am a military family member. You dare lay hands on me? Indeed, my brother was a company commander. Hardly someone Grace could hit as she pleased. Grace raised her hand, then slowly lowered it again, her face twisted with frustration. Fine, you win. I can't out-talk you. Seeing Grace powerless, Sarah Wang stood by, crying pitifully. Emma, I know your family lives in the city and has power. Your brother's a company commander. Your father's a senior engineer at the steel plant. Your sister-in-law's a chief doctor at the county hospital. But you can't use your background to bully others. 10,000 yuan? A child? That's all nonsense. The only real thing is the 1,000 yuan, I can swear on it. Your aunt just admitted it herself, and everyone here heard it. You can't deny it. The truth was, I didn't know exactly how much Jacob had received for taking the fall. All I knew was that Sarah Wang had taken the money, seized the opportunity of the new reform policies, and made a fortune. By the time Jacob Wu was released from prison, she had already become a well-known businesswoman in the county. Not only did she give him another 100,000 yuan, she also bought him a house and a car. Everyone praised Sarah. They said she was a good woman, raising a child alone for years without marrying another man, faithfully waiting for Jacob to come out. They called her loyal and devoted, claiming the Wu family must have accumulated blessings from past lives to have her. But I knew the truth. During those years, she had been involved with countless men. That's why I had never once believed child was really Jacob's. The villagers buzzed immediately. David Wu and his wife are lazy and greedy. Where could Jacob get so much money? Exactly. If Emma says he went to prison in someone else's place, maybe it's true. Grace Wu snapped back indignantly. So what if that's true? That money was earned through my son's ability. 15 years in prison in exchange for 10,000 yuan. Could any of you do it? She then turned to me, her face twisted with excitement. Emma, tell me honestly, did Jacob really tell you himself that he gave Sarah Wang 10,000 yuan? I lied without blinking. Of course, if he hadn't told me such a secret, how would I know? If you don't believe me, go ask him yourself. He's still in the detention center right now. And the pregnancy? He's the one who told me that too. Sarah's face went crimson. She screamed, Emma, stop spouting nonsense. Jacob doesn't even know I'm pregnant. The moment the words left her mouth, she realized her slip. Her whole body trembled with rage. The crowd erupted again. So she really is pregnant? Then the 10,000 yuan must be true too. Jacob Wu is such a bastard. Already has a child with Sarah, yet still strung Emma along, tricking her into serving his parents like a slave. Grace Wu shrieked, clutching her head. My damned son, he's gone and exposed us, gave money to that tramp and not to me or his father. Emma, you must testify for us two old people. Sarah Wang, you shameless wench, spit that money out. That's my son's lifeblood money. Inside I sneered. Outwardly I put on a troubled face. Auntie, I can testify for you, but shouldn't you first repay what you owe my family? The 100 yuan my parents lent you, plus the food, clothes, and money I've spent on you these past 6 months. It all adds up to 388 yuan and 50 cents. I'll even round it down for you. Make it an even 388. Please, pay up. I stretched out my hand. Grace Wu instinctively tried to deny it. What money? Jacob's in prison. How could we possibly have any? I laughed coldly. Auntie, did you forget? Didn't you just say Sarah gave you 1,000 yuan? All these months you've eaten our food, worn our clothes, lived off my family's support. That 1,000 yuan, you must not have touched it yet, right? Don't tell me you can't even produce a measly 300 yuan. At that moment, voices rose in the crowd. The party secretary is here. I looked up and saw a man in a blue work uniform with a red armband step in. Spotting Daniel Shen, he immediately straightened and greeted him respectfully. Hello, leader. I'm Henry Wu, the party secretary of this village. May I ask what instructions you have for us here in Ocean Village? Whatever it is, we will fully cooperate. Which unit are you from, sir? Daniel shook his hand and answered evenly. We're not here on official business today. We came to handle a private matter. In your village, someone has been swindling the family of a soldier. Don't you, as the village leader, have any responsibility for that? Secretary Wu turned pale, his voice trembling. What exactly is going on here? Who in the world dares behave so lawlessly? Secretary Wu demanded. I immediately stepped forward. Secretary, please help me judge this fairly. Jacob Wu already has a girlfriend, she's even pregnant, yet he still tricked me into taking care of his parents. He wanted to deceive me into becoming their servant, and his mother even said I should become her son's second wife. This is a new society where everyone is equal. Their behavior is capitalist exploitation and must be strictly punished. As soon as I spoke, Secretary Wu's face darkened. He turned and barked at David Wu. David Wu, what is going on here? I've heard your family has problems with ideological awareness. Haven't you rid yourselves of that capitalist tale yet? Do you want to commit more mistakes? Years ago, David Wu had also worked at the steel factory, but he abused his position, stealing scrap metal from the plant to sell for profit. When he was caught, he even tried to bribe the factory leaders. But how could a man of true revolutionary awareness ever go along with that? Not only was David harshly criticized, he was also fired. Once he lost his job, the family housing was repossessed. With nothing to eat in the city, his entire family had no choice but to return to their village. From then on, they lived under the villagers' scorn. Now, hearing Secretary Wu's words, David's face twisted in panic. Secretary, you can't just listen to that girl's nonsense. We absolutely never meant it that way. My son and she are both unmarried. She likes him and wants to be our daughter-in-law. As parents, aren't we allowed to test her a little? The words had barely left his mouth when my father lunged forward and landed a punch. Test my daughter? What the hell are you? Your son is a murderer rotting in prison. He's not worthy of my daughter at all. What right do you have to test her? Grace Wu shrieked when she saw her husband get hit. Daniel Song is beating people. Secretary, you must judge this fairly. The Song family is going too far, taking advantage of the fact that my Jacob isn't home to bully us two old people. My sister-in-law let out a cold laugh. David Wu, Grace Wu, stop pretending to be innocent. Everyone here heard what you said. Your son has been with Sarah Wang for a long time, yet you deceived my sister-in-law into slaving away for you. Sarah gave you 1,000 yuan, but you still cried poverty, tricked Emma into bringing food, clothes, and money for you. How can people with no conscience like you even exist? Secretary, this is fraud. You are the People's Party secretary, not the private secretary of the Wu family. You must give us justice. Though Secretary Wu was a relative of David's, at this moment he didn't dare shield them. He raised his voice at once. Of course, David Wu, explain yourselves. Your son already has a girlfriend, yet you still deceived this girl? This is marriage fraud. His words immediately sparked support from the crowd. That's right. Jacob already had a girlfriend and gave her 10,000 yuan, yet he still spent Emma's money. Shameless. Not only that, Sarah even gave David and Grace Wu 1,000 yuan, and they didn't use it. Instead, they made Emma go back to her parents' house to take more. Outrageous. Exactly. You already had money. Why didn't you use it? Weren't you just deliberately tricking her? Tears streamed down my face. I sobbed. Uncle Wu, Auntie Wu, you said you treated me like your own daughter. So that's what you meant? How else could you stomach eating my food, wearing my clothes, and spending my money? I shouted through tears. Jacob said he thought of me as his sister, but I already have a real brother. Why would I need him to play that role? He knew how I felt about him. He took advantage of it, tricking me into being his fool, raising his parents for him. Today, the two of you must pay back everything I've spent on you, along with the debt you owe my parents. If not, I'll report you to the police for conspiring to commit fraud. At my words, David Wu's face showed a flash of panic. Emma, come on, we're all one family. Why would you say something like that? Grace Wu chimed in. That's right, we've always treated you like our own daughter. How could you say such heartless things? Besides, you gave us that money willingly. I wept harder. You tricked me. You said you had nothing, so I begged my parents for money and spent it all on you. I didn't keep a single cent for myself. Now that I know you lied, you must pay it back. David Wu tried one last excuse. Emma, just the other day you weren't like this. What happened after you visited Jacob in the detention center? Did you change your mind because you know he's about to be sentenced to 15 years and you don't want to take care of us anymore? Daniel Shen, who had been silent, suddenly stepped forward, his voice ringing out. Enough. It's obvious you're the ones at fault, yet you stand here playing the victim. How can people be so shameless? David and Grace stared at him, taken aback, their eyes narrowing as they looked him up and down. Who are you? Someone in the crowd muttered. Isn't Emma's older brother supposed to be Captain Vincent Song? He doesn't look like this. David Wu's face hardened. So who exactly are you? Why are you defending Emma? Don't tell me you're her lover. Daniel Shen was the grandson of a former commanding officer, a man born with a bright future. He had stepped in kindly to back me up. How could I let them slander him like that? I raised my voice. Watch your mouths. Comrade Daniel is my brother's comrade in arms. He came to help us get justice. Instead of minding your own disgraceful family affairs, you smear others. The Wu family is truly disgusting. Grace Wu let out a mocking laugh. Justice? What justice? You've already found yourself another man. That's why you don't need my Jacob anymore, so now you're just making trouble. Sarah Wan, who had been watching Daniel Shen with shifty eyes, suddenly echoed her. That's right, Emma. I remember you always liked Jacob since we were little. You even said if it wasn't him, you'd never marry anyone else. I caught the sly look in her darting eyes and knew she meant no good. My anger surged, and I rushed forward, landing a resounding slap across her face. You knew I liked him, yet you crept behind my back to be with him. Did you forget? Back in high school, when you had nothing to eat, I begged my mother to cook extra and brought it to share with you. And when the boys at school teased you and soaked your clothes so badly you didn't dare show your face, who lent you mine? Who stood up for you? That was me. And this is how you repay me? I had planned to play the pitiful victim, but the more I thought about how they had toyed with me in my past life, the more furious I became. I couldn't swallow the rage. I slapped Sarah several more times until her face was swollen. She had been putting on an act, but now she was stunned. When she came back to her senses, the prim and proper mask was gone. With her hair disheveled, she jabbed a finger at me, shrieking, "Emma Song, you! Emma, how dare you hit me?" Sarah Wong screeched, "You think just because your family has money, you can act all high and mighty? Don't pretend you're so noble. You were nice to me only because you wanted to feel superior, so others would praise you, say you're beautiful, kind, a good person." Hearing that, I was stunned once again by her shamelessness. "Sarah Wang, you ungrateful wretch! How much of my mother's food did you eat over the years? If you can't appreciate it, then at least pay me back." Sarah put her hands on her hips. "You gave it willingly. Why should I repay you? And besides, I only ate a little. What's that worth?" I lunged forward, yanking her hair. "All those things came from ration coupons my parents' work unit issued. Even if you had money, you couldn't have bought them." She hadn't expected me, someone who had always been gentle, to strike with such force. Her fashionable curled hair became a tangled mess in my hands, the big ribbon bow ripped off and tossed aside. She shrieked in pain, tears brimming in her eyes, and looked desperately at Daniel Shen. "Comrade Daniel, do something. Emma's attacking me. She's going to kill me." Seeing her trying to tattle in front of him only enraged me more. "Sarah, where are you looking? You're carrying Jacob Wu's child, yet you dare to flirt outside? Comrade Daniel's status is leagues above yours. How could he ever look twice at a girl pregnant with another man's baby? And you dare curse me? You and Jacob didn't even register your marriage before conceiving. That's improper conduct. You're nothing but a shameless woman. Even if you give birth, your child will still be a bastard, with a criminal father rotting in prison." At first, Sarah spat filthy curses back, but under my relentless blows, she quickly broke down, begging for mercy. David Wu and Grace Wu rushed forward, shouting, "Emma Song, what are you doing? Do you want to rebel? Let her go. She's carrying our grandson." But my parents and sister-in-law blocked them. "Sarah Wong is ungrateful and has slandered Emma. If she doesn't deserve a beating, then who does? Yes, beat that shameless girl. Our family treated her so well, and this is how she repays us," my mother cried angrily. Seeing me pummel Sarah as if I might kill her, David Wu grew frantic. He grabbed a cleaver and charged at me. "Emma Song, stop. If you hurt my grandson, I'll make you pay with your life." Just as the blade was about to strike, Daniel Shen stepped forward. He seized David's wrist, wrenched the knife from his grip, and with a powerful kick, sent him sprawling across the yard. Immediately, his driver and bodyguard, Officer Jin, rushed up, pinning David to the ground. "Commander, are you hurt?" Daniel shook his head. "I'm fine." But I saw the smear of blood on his thumb. My heart lurched. Grabbing his hand, I found a cut on his skin. Fury boiled inside me, and I pointed straight at David Wu. "David Wu, I'll press charges for attempted murder. You dared injure a military officer. Just wait, you'll rot in prison." Secretary Wu, who had already been on edge watching the brawl, went completely pale when he saw Daniel hurt. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted on the spot. The villagers gasped. They rushed forward, some grabbing his arms, others his legs, carrying him toward the village clinic. I hurried to get cotton and alcohol from the doctor, carefully disinfecting and bandaging Daniel Shen's wound. "Brother Daniel, thank you. If it weren't for you today, that knife would have struck me instead." Daniel Shen said casually, "It's nothing. For us soldiers, getting injured is just part of daily life." Then his gaze lingered on me, circling a few times, before he teased with a grin, "I really didn't expect this. You're actually that fierce. I thought you were just a fragile little girl." After everything I'd lived through in my past life, how could I still be a fragile little girl? The fact that I hadn't turned into a bitter shrew was already a blessing. But this man was my brother's comrade. Today, he hadn't just stood up for me, he had saved my life. I couldn't lose face in front of him. I sniffled loudly, forcing out sobs. "Brother Daniel, it's not like I wanted to do that. I was just too angry." Sarah Wong sat at the same desk as me for 3 years in high school. I thought we were best friends, but who knew she thought of me that way? She knew I liked Jacob Wu, yet still snuck around with him behind my back, and never once told me. And the Wu family was even worse. They knew all along that Sarah was Jacob's real girlfriend, yet they teamed up to deceive me. "Brother Daniel, don't I seem like such a fool?" Daniel sighed softly and reached out to ruffle my hair. You're not a fool. You're too kind. Kind people get bullied. Don't worry. With me here, they won't dare touch you. Everything they owe you, I'll make sure they pay back. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I was already an adult woman, but this was the first time I'd ever been this close to a man. The warmth of Daniel's broad hand seeped through me, and my face grew hot with embarrassment. Brother Daniel, you should rest. I'll go check how Secretary Wu is doing, I stammered, pulling back. By then, Secretary Wu had regained consciousness, and the village head had arrived. They mediated the dispute between me, the Wu family, and Sarah Wang. In the end, the verdict was clear. Everything David Wu and Grace Wu had taken from my family had to be returned in full, including the 100 yuan debt. On top of that, since David had injured Daniel, if he didn't want to go to prison, he had to privately compensate 500 yuan. Sarah Wang was ordered to pay me 100 yuan for emotional damages. Consider it repayment for the meals I'd shared with her over the years. Altogether, the Wu family owed a total of 888 yuan. Grace Wu sat in her yard, wailing and cursing. Emma Song, why don't you just rob us outright? 888, why don't you take my old life while you're at it? I sneered. Didn't Sarah already give you 1,000 yuan? Pay us 888 and you'll still have 112 left. If you don't want to hand it over, that's fine. David can go to prison. Attacking a soldier is a serious crime. He'll rot there for years. Then your family will have not 1 but 2 convicts. I turned to Sarah, mocking her. Sarah Wang, you're really blessed. Both your man and your father-in-law are convicts. Your son will surely have a glorious future with that lineage. Sarah stomped her foot in fury. Grace Wu snapped at her. You filthy wretch. If not for you, how could our family have fallen to this? If you weren't carrying the Wu family's grandchild, I'd have dealt with you already. David Wu, humiliated, barked. Enough. Hurry up and give them the money. Do you really want me to go to prison? He turned, bowing his head toward Daniel. Commander, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please, I beg you, don't let them throw me in prison. At my age, going in would mean death. Grace muttered curses under her breath, but since her husband had spoken, she had no choice. She crawled under the bed, pulled out a handkerchief wrapped in layers, and unfolded it to reveal a thick stack of 10 yuan bills. The sight of it made my vision darken with anger. So they really had 1,000 yuan hidden all along. David Wu, Grace Wu, you two had been deceiving me this whole time. What a pitiful sight, I muttered coldly. Grace Wu opened her mouth as if to say something more, but I snatched the money right out of her hands. I counted exactly 888 yuan in front of her and shoved the remaining bills back. David Wu, Grace Wu, the debt between our families is settled. From this day forward, there's nothing left between us. Just then, Sarah Wang tried to slip away quietly, but I caught her by the arm. Hold it, the Wu family has already paid up. What about you? Emma, She hunched her shoulders, her face a picture of false misery. I cut her off. Don't you dare say you don't have money. Wasn't that 1,000 yuan David and Grace had given by you? And the dress you're wearing is worth at least 20 yuan. That watch, at least 120. That's just what I can see. Who knows how much you've really spent? I only asked you for 100 yuan to cover emotional damages, and you can't even manage that. Realizing she couldn't wriggle free, Sarah reluctantly opened her purse and pulled out a 100 yuan bill. Fine. If I give you this, you'll stop making trouble for me, right? That comrade of yours, Daniel Shen, he won't come after us either? I snatched the money. That depends on how you behave. The slaps had been delivered, the money collected, and my anger vented. I led my family out. Sarah tried to follow, but the Wu couple dragged her back. Sarah Wang, don't you dare leave! Grace shrieked. Tell us where the rest of the money is hidden. That's right, David added furiously. My son gave you 10,000 yuan. Where's the other 9,000? That's his lifeblood money. Don't think you can keep a cent. Their angry voices faded behind me, and I felt strangely light. Those 2 old foxes were no pushovers. Sarah was bound to suffer in their hands later. Daniel Shen escorted us back to my family's home. That evening, my parents invited him to stay for dinner. My sister-in-law had to work the night shift at the hospital, so I busied myself helping while Daniel sat in the courtyard snapping beans. I brought out 500 yuan and handed it to him. Brother Daniel, This is the compensation David Wu gave you for medical expenses. Please take it. But Daniel shook his head. If it weren't for you, they never would have paid. I can't accept this. It belongs to you, Emma. That's impossible, I said firmly. The money was paid to you. How could I keep it? You've seen how I handle things. I'll fight tooth and nail to reclaim what's mine, but I'll never take what doesn't belong to me. He hesitated, then gave me a faint smile. Then, how about you hold on to it for me? I blinked, startled. Me? Why would I keep it for you? Daniel straightened, a faint flush rising on his face. Comrade Emma Song, would you be interested in getting to know me as a potential partner? If you agree, you'd be my girlfriend. In that case, it makes perfect sense for you to hold on to my money. His words made my cheeks flame. You're talking nonsense. We only met today. But Daniel went on calmly. Your brother and I have been comrades for years. I've seen your photo, and I've heard plenty about you. I know more than you think. I also know you just broke free from a toxic relationship, and maybe you're not ready for something new. That's fine. I can wait. His eyes glimmered as he looked at me, so bright that my heart skipped wildly in my chest. My face grew hot. I'll think about it. Snatching up the basket of green beans, I hurried into the kitchen. That evening, Daniel and my father sat drinking together like old friends. The conversation around the table was cheerful and lively. Daniel, how long will this mission of yours last? My father asked warmly. If you've got any free time, stay at our house a few more days. Without you, none of this would have gone so smoothly. You really are our family's savior. Daniel Shen replied, Uncle, this mission is urgent. I have to return to my unit tomorrow. Next time I'm on leave, I'll come back with Vincent to visit you. My father sighed regretfully. So soon? That's a pity. You're a fine young man, Daniel, much better to look at than that Jacob Wu. I was even thinking you could spend more time talking with our Emma. My mother gave him a playful nudge. You've had too much to drink. Stop spouting nonsense. Then she turned to Daniel with a smile. Daniel, don't mind him. We're just ordinary people. With a family like yours, how could you possibly take interest in our Emma? To our surprise, Daniel's face turned red. Auntie, actually, I already spoke to Emma about this. She seemed hesitant, didn't give me an answer. Could you and Uncle perhaps put in a good word for me? I swear, I would never hurt her like Jacob Wu did. My parents sat frozen, eyes wide. Daniel, are you serious? You truly want to pursue our Emma? Before he could say more, I clapped my hand over his mouth. Don't listen to him, Mom, Dad. He's drunk, just rambling nonsense. But Daniel caught my hand, pulling me into his chest. His palm was hot against mine, and my heart skipped. Whether from shyness or the wine, his face flushed as he spoke earnestly. Emma, I'm not joking. The first time I saw your picture in your brother's wallet, I liked you. Please give me a chance. I'm 25 years old, never married, no romantic history, no entanglements with female colleagues. My family includes my grandparents and parents. I earn 110 yuan a month. I have no bad habits. If you agree, I'll submit a marriage request to my unit right away. Hearing that, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. See, he really is drunk. Mom, Dad, I'll help him to a room to rest. Don't take his words seriously. How could I possibly be worthy of him? If I remembered correctly, Daniel Shen was the ace of his unit, an all-around talent who had become a battalion commander at such a young age. His parents both held state positions, and his grandfather was an even more formidable high-ranking official. A family like that, how could they ever take notice of someone like me? Not to mention, my entanglement with Jacob Wu wasn't fully resolved yet. After sending Daniel off the next day, I sat down and immediately wrote a report to the Public Security Bureau, exposing Jacob Wu for taking the blame for someone else's crime. The truth came to light quickly. The real culprit was soon caught and sentenced to death by firing squad. Jacob Wu, for obstructing justice, was given 3 years in prison. The one who had bribed him into taking the fall was none other than the son of the factory director where Jacob had worked. But even though money was paid, the director's son still ended up executed. Furious, the family turned their wrath on the Wus. Jacob was locked away in prison, out of reach. But David Wu and Grace Wu weren't so lucky. A mob stormed their home, demanding repayment of the 10,000 yuan. Of the thousands Sarah Wang had given them, More than 800 had already been paid in compensation to us, while the rest was long gone. No matter how they scrimped or sold off belongings, the old Wu couple couldn't come up with the sum. In desperation, they turned to Sarah Wang. It turned out Sarah Wang had already gotten wind of the situation. Seeing things go south, she took the money and fled to Guangdong with another man. Even her parents had no idea where she had gone. With no way to repay their debts, the Wu family had to forfeit their house in the village and sign an enormous promissory note. To scrape together what they owed, David Wu and Grace Wu worked themselves ragged day and night. Yet, no matter how little they earned, creditors came knocking immediately. Within a year, Grace's health had collapsed. In my past life, I had bled myself dry, selling blood, even a kidney, to keep her alive. This time, no one cared enough to help. David had no money for her treatment, and she quickly wasted away and died. Only David remained, still crushed under the mountain of debt. Meanwhile, my family arranged for me to work at the textile factory. A year later, when the state reinstated college entrance exams, I registered. In my previous life, my grades in high school had been strong, and this time again I passed and was admitted to the medical school I had hoped for. Daniel Shen never gave up pursuing me. Every time he had leave or passed near my university on assignment, he came to visit. My sister-in-law had by then transferred with the military to a hospital in my brother's garrison, and in my second year she gave me a little nephew. During the summer after my third year, I returned home to visit my parents. One afternoon, while shopping with my mother, I spotted an old man begging on the street. "Please, kind folks, spare some change." Something about him looked familiar. My mother sighed. "That's David Wu. Serves him right." After they lost their house in the village, he and Grace moved into a dilapidated ancestral shrine. When Grace died 2 years ago, he was left with nothing. With debts piling up and creditors pounding on his door, they broke his leg and forced him to beg. I heard if he doesn't bring back enough money, they even beat him. I felt nothing, no pity, no sadness. If anything, I found it darkly amusing. But outwardly, I feigned surprise. That bad? And what about Jacob Wu? He should have been released by now, right? My mother shivered. Don't even mention him. When he got out, he came here looking for you, said he wanted to apologize and begged us to tell him where you were. Your father and I were terrified he'd hurt you, so we refused. Later we heard he went to Guangdong to find Sarah Wang. Somehow they quarreled and he stabbed her more than 10 times. She survived, but Jacob was arrested again. Not long out of prison, and he committed another crime. This time they sentenced him to 7 more years. Hearing that, I couldn't help but marvel. Some fates truly seemed destined, like Jacob Wu's 15-year calamity of prison. My mother waved a hand in front of my face, pulling me from my thoughts. "What are you daydreaming about, sweetheart? Tell me, what's going on with you and Daniel? That boy is serious about you. We may not match his family background, but your father and I have seen how he treats you. You need to give him a clear answer. He's not getting any younger. Don't string him along." I pouted. "Mom, why are you always on his side? Daniel this, Daniel that. Aren't I your daughter?" She chuckled. "Don't sweet-talk me. So, have you agreed or not?" Her eyes lit up at my silence. "You have, haven't you?" I lowered my voice. "He already told his family. They've agreed to our marriage. Once I graduate, he'll submit the marriage application. Then I'll follow him into the military district with my sister-in-law. I just worry about leaving you and Dad alone." My mother laughed. "Silly girl, what's there to worry about? In a few years we'll retire and move with you and your brother. We'll help you watch the kids." I slipped my arm through hers as we walked down the street. The sunset painting our shoulders gold. Warmth filled my chest. Perhaps this was